Hi everybody, and welcome to another Turning the Page video in partnership with Ignite Imaginations. Today we're going to be making a beautiful family tree. So family tree celebrates and lists all the people within our family. So we're going to need lots of different materials today. You might have some old bits of coloured paper. You might want to use an old magazine. You're going to need some white paper, some black paint and a little bit of card. You might want to be creative and use other materials that you can find around the house, such as tin foil, old newspapers, that kind of thing. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to squeeze out a little bit of black paint, and we're going to make our tree using a sort of printing method. So I'm just dipping my card in my paint, and then I'm going to make my tree shape like this. So I'm not drawing it, I'm not sort of dragging it, I'm kind of printing it on to make the outline of the trunk here. And what I do is, because this paint is still wet, I can use my bit of card to spread it across and create texture of bark. In fact, if you know your trees, you'll know that this looks a little bit like a silver birch tree, which has a sort of wraparound bark that sort of peels off. It's a really simple way of making a very effective tree. So you make your outline and then you spread the paint lightly into the middle to make the bark of the tree. And you could be creative and use this for other things. So you might want to put some bits of plants around. You might want to kind of make a bit of a surface that the tree's growing out of, a bit of the ground. And you could stop like that because we're going to make the top of the tree out of leaves and things like that, but if you wanted to, you could split your tree into 2 branches or more by making a V shape in the middle and then the other side of each branch below like this. And again, just gently spread across the paint. I sort of give a little flick with your bit of card. So you don't need anything particularly special for this. So I'm going to just put that to one side to dry and get the one that I made earlier, which I hope is dry by now. So that's the main body of my tree. I've put some little grasses in, as you can see. And now we're going to think about the leaves. So the leaves are going to represent different family members. And you might want to think about which colour you do for each family member. So I'm going to include my cat as part of my family. So you're going to need some glue for this. And all I've done is I found a green bit of an old magazine, or actually it was an old flyer that came through my door, and I've cut out a leaf shape. I'm going to pop it down here. So you could include animals as part of your family tree. And what you could do is you could draw a picture of that member of your family, or you might want to just write their name. I'm going to do both. So my cat's name is Spencer. And then I'm going to start to include other people from my family. So I've got a bit of patterned paper here that's left over from another project. I'm going to use that for my next leaf. And I'm going to start at the bottom with my closest family members, so the people that I live with. So I'm going to put my husband in here. And I'm using greens, but I could, you know, it doesn't have to be realistic. So I'm going to put a little drawing of him here. And his name. And then I'm going to put in my next closest family. I'm going to put my mum in. And I'll put her name as well. Do a quick drawing of her. So I'm doing this a bit quickly, but you can really take your time with this. And can you see I had an old book that fell apart, and so I used some of the pages that had fallen out to cut out leaf shapes. So I'm not going to do every single member of my family, but I'm going to stick all the leaves on ready to write their names on. And you can see I'm using bits from magazines, bits from my old books, bits of the coloured paper that I had left over. And if you wanted to, you could even make your own coloured paper. So over here you can see that I've got a little bowl of water, and I've actually put some household spices in it. So I've put a little bit of turmeric in. You might want to ask a grown-up before you do this and ask for their help. And I've just mixed it with the water, and turmeric is a very strong dye, so be really careful with your clothes and the surface that you're working on. But you could see if you can make your own stain or your own colour, your own paint, using household dyes. I've got some chili pepper here. I thought I'd experiment with that. But be careful. You don't want to get it in your eyes or anything like that. So you're going to need an adult's help for this bit. I've not used this before, so I don't know what it will do. Ooh, comes out quite speckly. So you could make your own coloured paper like that and let it dry. Might be useful if you're going to make a sunshine. So remember, we're going to stick on lots of different leaves like this. So I'll just do this quite quickly. And then you might want to be creative and think about if you can do any collage parts in the background. So I found some blue paper in the newspaper, and I cut that out to make some cloud shapes. So you might like to do something like that, just to really make your family tree stand out and look beautiful. I also found, we got a flyer through the door about gardening, and it had a picture of grass on it. So I've cut out, I've cut out some grass strips that I thought I might add underneath my tree here. Can't pick it up now. It's really up to you how you add to your family tree. You can just really be creative. You might think, oh, a bit of packaging came for something and it had a nice pattern on it, so I could use that. Here I've got all my grass. Got a couple more leaves. Now unfortunately my turmeric is not quite dry yet, so I'm not going to use that just yet. But I would like to have cut out a sun from that. But instead I'm going to use this bit from my book, my Fallen Apart book. Don't worry, I didn't use a new book. It's one that had really fallen apart and lost lots of its pages. I'm going to put the sun in there. So you might want to add in some crayons or felt tips or something like that. So I'm going to just add a bit of yellow to my sunshine here. So we're starting to have a really beautiful family tree to represent all the different people in our family, and you might want to think carefully about what order you put them in. So it might be that you've got family members from different countries, and you might want to group certain family members together, or you might want to put members from your mum's side of the family on one side and your dad's on the other. Maybe if you're not growing up with your mum or your dad, you might want to think about who represents your family for you. Do you think you could put friends in there that might represent family? The family tree is really to celebrate those people that are closest to us. Think about where they came from, who they are, and how they're all linked together. So I'm going a bit wild here with some pastels. If you don't have pastels, you could use crayons, or you could do a bit more collage. You can really be creative about how you make your family tree. I think a bit of colour looks quite nice with the black and white trunk of the tree. So there we have it. All I need to do is I need to add in the other members of my family, and my family tree is finished. So I hope you have a really lovely time making your own family tree, and hope to see you again for another video soon.